Welcome, everybody, to our Christmas edition of There's Something Here. On this episode, we're going to take you to Mena. But really, this is about spending 36 hours in Arkansas, a trip that no one in the human history has ever made. We'll go from Little Rock to Fayetteville to Mena, back to Little Rock. We'll learn about meeting Bigfoot, learn about how you catch feral hogs. We're going to watch some basketball. We're going to do pretty much anything you can do in 36 hours in Arkansas. It was quite a ride. Join us for this episode of There's Something Here. We promise you, there's something here. So, Kevin, I got to say, Merry Christmas to you and Ben.
Yeah, and I got to say, you are just getting better and better with your intros each and every month, each and every episode.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was smooth.
Thank you. Yeah.
I liked it.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Ben, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, feeling good, ready for another great episode. I'm excited to hear about this trip.
Yeah,
the one that no human has ever made. Tell us more.
Or I believe will ever make. I think we will.
I think that is the point, really.
So I did bring this cup because it is Christmas, but also this is the diner style cup that we talked about at the coffee episode that we love so much, and this one is actually from Onyx Coffee Lab, which I know is a great one for Ben. So I thought it was a nice little callback, looking to the Christmas edition, but also a callback to the coffee shop.
That's a unique mug. That is a
I thought
a limited edition. Something right
we
there.
have some goodies here.
Yeah,
this episode.
We'll get to those.
Yeah,
There's something here.
Yeah.
Hey, before we get started, though, I want to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving and food. And I have a story that I want to share, but I want to ask you all to share a story as well. We're coming out of Thanksgiving. A lot of people cooked for us. We probably had an experience with friends and family recently. I got a question about what experiences have you had recently where someone has made you a meal or you've gone out to a meal with somebody and you just felt that connection between you and the person that's serving you or the person that's treating you or just some great food, heartfelt experience from recent times?
Well, for me, it was this past Monday, which I really, some old neighbors of ours, some friends, we used to live in their neighborhood. We recently moved about 5 months ago. Anyway, they had us over to the house, and it was just a Monday night. It wasn't a big deal. They made us dinner, and he's a great cook, Thomas Wallace, my friend Thomas, and his wife Brooke. They had us over, and he made schnitzel and cabbage and spetzel, and it was just, it's comfort food at its finest, and it was just a nice, normal Monday night. It wasn't like a Saturday night, Friday night where we had to stay out late and drink a bunch of wine and have a good time. But the act of cooking for someone or having someone cook for you, it's so special. I mean, there's not a better way for someone to show their love than to cook a meal for you, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I saw the Facebook pictures of Thomas, and Thomas is a good guy. Brooke is great too.
Yeah.
And I could just tell in his eyes, he was very happy to be doing this and proud to be able to show what he's doing for his friend.
Yeah.
Ben, what about you?
I'm thinking for me, I was kind of racking my brain when you posed this question to us, but I've got to go back, an easy one, low-hanging fruit there. We just had Thanksgiving, and for me, it's almost like this comfort food that I've come to get at my dad's mom's house, my grandma's house. We go over there for Thanksgiving, and she always has this one dish. It's a cheesy spaghetti, and it is the most basic dish ever. It's like not a high-end cheese. It's just spaghetti noodles with a bunch of cheese on it, and then more cheese, and then some more cheese. And it's not particularly delicious, but it's so warm and it reminds me of when I was a kid because we've always had it. And I've got to where I crave that little side dish on Thanksgiving. I think just because it reminds me so much of family. And but again, it's not a fancy dish at all. It's the most basic down home cheese and noodles. But I don't know. I think it's more of the memories that are involved with it. But
of course,
and she makes it with love, like you said.
All right. Well, my story starts in the Osceola City Jail, and I thought of you while I was there. And this is sincere. I was at the Osceola City Jail 2 days ago, and just
for work.
Let's
who posted bail?
Yeah, sorry.
What's the story
Kevin,
there?
I owe you $500.
There's something there, I think.
Yeah. So I was there just touring the facility, trying to get a feel for it, see, just kind of review it. And as we walk through, we go to the kitchen, and in the kitchen is a trustee. A trustee is an inmate that has earned privileges to, do work more in the jail, and he was cooking dinner because they have dinner at 4:30, and he was cooking spaghetti, and he was boiling some canned vegetables. And I walked in, and I could just tell he was very proud of that he was doing all this for 27 inmates. And you could just tell on his face he was very proud, and it smelled good. And when we said it smelled good, and it legitimately did, you could just see the smile on his face.
Mm-hmm.
So they're loading up the trays, and I catch that one of the trays has tater tots on it, and I love tater tots. Now, I did not take a tater tot from the tray, obviously, but I went back to Abdul, was his name. Don't know what he's in for. Nice guy. I said, "Hey, Abdul, you have any tater tots for me?" His face lit up. He said, "Oh, yes, I do. Come over here." He had a tray of tater tots. And I took 2 tater tots and I ate them, and they were fantastic. And he just was so proud of that role in the jail. So I just thought that was a really nice story, and I thought of you two in the jail.
Hey, that's not the first time tater tots has come up on this podcast for us. So yeah, I mean, it all comes back to the tot. So,
It does.
Man, that's great. That's a great
It's all
story.
about the tots.
It's all about the tots.
I like it.
All right. So this trip started out as us going to Mena. I've told Kevin for a while, and Ben knows too, that I think the world of Mena. Unfortunately for Mena, though, it's not a place you have to go to Mena to go to Mena. You're not going to drive through Mena to get to anywhere, typically. Now, between Fort Smith and Texarkana, maybe. But I've been wanting to take you to Mena forever. And we decided to go, and then all of a sudden we realized that on the date we're going, the Friday night before, our favorite team, the University of Arkansas at Little Rock Trojans, are playing the U of A, the Razorbacks, in Bud Walton. So we're like, hey, let's go to the game, spend the night in Fayetteville, or actually Fort Smith for us this time, go to Mena, have a grand old time. So we start the drive to go to Fayetteville, and I got to start with this because this is true. I took another sunset pic while I'm driving 80 miles an hour on the freeway.
I don't know what's wrong with you. You're a strange man sometimes. I mean, your sunset pictures on the interstate are frightening me. They're putting my life at risk. And to top it all off, Ben, right after that, we're on I-40, sailing down I-40. We're not talking, which is rare. We're just kind of quiet. And all of a sudden, after he takes this sunset picture, or at least a few minutes after that, he just veers off the interstate into a rest stop and doesn't say a word, right? Just pulls into the rest stop, gets out of the car. And I'm like, what in the heck is happening here? Who does that, Ben? Who doesn't announce I have to go to the bathroom?
I think you're along for the ride. It sounds like
We stopped, and he goes, "Is everything okay?" I thought, "Yeah, I just have to use the restroom." And I realized then, I thought, "Oh yeah, I just sort of dropped this on you."
I thought we were experiencing a medical emergency.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's on me.
Yeah,
that's on me,
man.
Next time I give you fair warning. Hey, Kevin, I'm stopping at this rest area. In my defense, though, I was debating between the rest area and a gas station 15 miles away, and I thought, nope, I'm making the decision. And I guess I just,
I thought
in John's defense, that you weren't inside of his head, Kevin. So
Yeah,
you couldn't read his mind.
Yeah.
Nor do I want to be.
That's true.
Ben.
That's
so,
true.
But
It's a scary place.
But yeah, it was interesting ride from Little Rock to Fayetteville. But once we got there, we met up with your buddy at the Fossil Cove Brewery, and we had a great beer and pizza, and that was a fun time. And it was quick, but man, it was good.
Yeah,
it's a good pizza.
I take you on. We go on these trips together, and you meet people that I've known for a while, and it's always nice that you can get to meet them. And Justin Eichmann is who we met. He's a city attorney for several cities up there. He's on the school board. Great guy, and he and I have been going to Fossil Cove for the better part of 15 years. And we sat in a big area of Fossil Cove, but it started in this really small, not a shack, but a very small room. And then to see that place, to bring you to it when it was bustling. I mean, it was a lot going on that night at Fossil Cove.
Yeah, it was quite a bit of people there, and we finally got a spot to sit, and we couldn't waste any time because we had about, 45 minutes where we needed to eat, have our beer, and then get up to the stadium because we didn't want to be late to the game. It was my first time at Bud Walton Arena where the Razorbacks play, so I kind of wanted to walk around and take it all in. So, but the thing that kind of threw us, I mean, we knew the beer was going to be good, but there's this little pizza hut / maybe food truck that just stays in the back at Fossil Cove.
Wicked Wood Pizza.
Wicked Wood Pizza, and I think we were both just shocked. I think we thought it was going to be good, but this was really, really good pizza to the point where the next time I'm in Fayetteville, I would be seeking this pizza out.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Ben, have you ever been to Fossil Cove?
Yeah, I really like the vibe there. They're still kind of in that warehouse place right off there, and it's cool. I've always liked their beer, and I always seek it out. I don't see it in Little Rock much, but they when I'm up there, I always try to stop by and get it for sure.
So
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't see it much here in this area as well.
So Justin was kind enough to drop us off to Bud Walton Arena, and he lives very close.
Yes, very close.
Get to that in a second. But he dropped us off, and then we were on the search for coffee in Bud Walton Arena. That was our goal, is to find coffee.
Yeah, that's another one of our things. Like that started up in Jonesboro when we went to the Arkansas State Euler game a couple years back, and it was literally like freezing outside. We got into the arena. And I'm like, man, we need to get some coffee and some M&Ms. That'll make our night. And they actually had coffee in that arena in the Convocation Center in Jonesboro. So now it's become kind of our thing. When we go to a game together, we're going to try to seek out some coffee. And boy, did we fail miserably at Bud Walton Arena.
It didn't materialize. That's true.
Not for lack of trying.
Not for lack of trying. I'm gonna get to that in a second. But before I do, Ben, when you're watching a sports ball game,
Yes, sports
whatever
ball.
it may be,
Right.
do you have a go-to beverage? Do you want something in your hands? For us, it's peanut M&Ms and coffee. Anything
That's
for
good.
you?
I mean, I'm not normally going for coffee at that hour.
I
so
think we're the
that's
only
pretty
people
unique.
that go for that.
For us, I'm
honestly.
almost 50, but
Yeah.
I think it's kind of the easy answer is probably just like a good lager, something light.
Okay.
That feels,
So you don't like a warm cup of coffee when you're watching a basketball game?
hot cup of Joe. I mean,
Yeah.
oh
not
man,
necessarily.
Little
Oh.
Java? No?
it's the
Okay.
best with it. Peanut M&Ms. I'm
Like-
telling you, coffee, peanut M&Ms, and basketball. That's the trifecta.
Yeah.
It's like a
fantastic.
glass of warm milk and a blanket and a good book.
Usually you're the weird one in our relationship. If I got to take claim to this, it's a little strange to have coffee and peanut M&Ms at a basketball game. It's my thing. I introduced you to it, and you've embraced it.
Oh yeah.
And we tried to cover that entire arena the other night, and we asked at least 5 different people, and it didn't work out.
I want to change the noun you use. It wasn't we, it was you. And I say that as a matter of pride.
Yeah.
In these experiences that we've had, I tend to be the one that's like, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen. And so as we're looking for coffee, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be the one. And Kevin's always behind me, always supportive of me. It's a great teamwork. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go talk to this person, this person, this person. And we see the chief of Prairie Grove there. And so he starts to help us out. Like, the coffee may be over here. And then Kevin, it's all Kevin. It's all him to find the coffee.
Well, thank you. And I got to say, this is a learned behavior. I mean, I've watched you for years now. I will not take no for an answer. And pre-John, no, I would have been like, just shut it down. Let's go sit in our seats and be good humans and not create any waves and forget about the coffee. But since I've been a friend with you for the last 10 plus years, I know that I'm not going to accept no for an answer, especially being in your presence.
Well,
And you said the police chief of Prairie Grove helped track down this
That
coffee.
is-
I forgot I skipped over that. Yeah, he works security. He works security at the games. I've seen him the other time I went too. And I said, "Hey, Chief, do you know where the coffee might be?" It could be this way. We asked probably half a dozen people, and we finally got to the last person who said, "Hey, you see the guy over in the striped shirt? That's Mike.
Yeah.
If anybody knows, it's going to be Mike." And we're like, "This is it."
Yeah.
And you go talk to Mike, and Mike says, "Not tonight, man."
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
I was like, "Okay."
And we shut it down.
That was it
Yeah.
because it was definitive then.
Yep. Not tonight.
It told us there was coffee, but not tonight.
Not tonight.
I'm picturing somebody that's working Bud Walton. I'm like, yeah, there's these two guys and a police chief that are trying to track down a cup of coffee at 8 o'clock at night.
I don't know what was going on.
But
Hey,
you guys tried.
we gave it all, and we sat down and watched the game after that, and
We
didn't make any more waves after that.
To that point, though, I always like to tell Kevin that when he used to be embarrassed by the things that I would do, which I wasn't rude. I like to think of it that person's going to remember that moment. Like, this guy wanted coffee that bad.
Yeah.
He did all these things. So
It's quirky. It's not rudeness.
yeah, it's quirky. There you go.
It's
There you go.
quirkiness.
So watch the game. UALR did not win. Good game. The Razorbacks ended up beating Michigan earlier this week, so they're a good team.
Yeah.
We're excited for the UALR Trojan basketball season, as we always are, and so it's gonna be a good season. But that was our trip to Fayetteville. And Bud Walton, your first experience. What did you think of Bud Walton?
Mid for me, as the kids say. I like the arena. I like the sides of it, but I think it needs a little bit of a refresh, maybe a little bit of a good cleaning. I don't want to be too demeaning of the arena, but I think it needs a little TLC. to be honest.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but a good place to watch a game. And then we had to walk back to get our car in the freezing cold up a hill. That was a 20-minute walk, according to, you said it was a 10-minute walk. It became 20. So and then we made our way down to Fort Smith to stay the night at the Comfort Inn.
Yes. And the next morning we get up and we head to Mena and we meet Mayor Smith at the Skyline Cafe. And that brings in our first trinket from our trip, which is a cup from the Skyline Cafe, which I did not steal. I just asked politely for it, and she gave it to me. She said it was the last one too, and so I got a Skyline Cafe cup.
Kevin, hold that up in your camera shot there. I
You
want to
see
see
that?
it. Look at that.
Look at that!
Wow.
Isn't that pretty?
Now
And
that is something.
another one of John's moments where he's not going to take no for an answer. And now look at this gem that we have forever.
It definitely was a lot of explainings. I definitely didn't steal it.
Yeah.
I definitely did not take this cup.
I didn't.
But our trip to Camden a couple months ago, we went to the oldest continuously running restaurant in the state, and this one has got to be a close second. This was like over 100, maybe 102, 103 years old. It looks it. I don't mean that in a demeaning way, but I mean it's kind of bare bones inside. It looks the fans on the ceiling are super old. I don't know if they're original,
yeah.
but they were crazy old. And very simple diner experience. All that the menu that you've all seen 1,000 times, but everything done right. And the coffee was hot, and it was filled every 4 to 5 minutes, and that's what you're looking for in a place like that.
I had one egg over easy, biscuits and gravy, and home fries.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you had omelet with hash browns.
Yeah, I had the omelet with hash browns and some biscuits and gravy, and it really hit the spot.
I like the home fries are really to me special, and I like home fries. So, but you had the hash browns, which I didn't get to try. You were odd about sharing that time. I didn't understand it. Was it the breakfast? You don't share breakfast food? 'Cause
No.
you're like, no.
I didn't. We've talked about our sharing food on this podcast before. I don't know. I was just maybe I was hungry and it didn't dawn on me, or maybe I thought our breakfasts were so similar. But
True.
but I should have offered my hash browns up, and I apologize for that.
I was curious the hash browns versus home fries. I want to ask Ben if you had to choose between hash browns or home fries, which way are you going?
So I have a feeling I'm catching flack from this, but I'm gonna need a refresher on home fries. Are they?
Like little cubed potatoes that are kind of fried up, and sometimes they can have some onions and peppers with them, but a lot of times they're just very basic cubed fries.
Yeah, that's all they are. Yeah.
Okay. I just had a different name for it in my head. I would call that like cubed breakfast potatoes or something.
You call them cubed.
Cubed.
Hey, Mom, can I have cubed breakfast?
Hey, Mom, can I have some cubed breakfast potatoes, please?
Oh,
that cartoon character with the glass.
Yeah.
It's like,
Maybe
specific.
breakfast potatoes. Maybe not cubed.
Can I have a chicken egg, please?
May I have
Make sure
one? Yeah. So I think I would go with those. I mean, I do like hash
They were
browns.
good.
But I will go with home fries, as the people say.
Well, the cubed breakfast potatoes were good.
Yeah.
They really were good at Scotland. You're right. The whole experience was great. It was what you expect for Saturday morning in a small town, downtown Mena, and it was great. And that's where you met a guy that I wanted you to meet for a long time, Mayor Seth Smith.
Yeah, we had a great time. He came in and it was the start of a very lengthy day with the mayor in a good way. I mean, and when you started out like that, you don't really know what's in store for the rest of the day, or whether it's going to be a couple hours or if it's going to be 5 or 6 hours. And thinking back on the day after we were done with it, I was like, man, that's where it all started. But we didn't know what was in store at that moment, and boy, it was something else the rest of the day.
So Seth Smith, he described himself with this quote, or I think he said other people call him this, but he's the positive-minded, grave-digging mayor. He was a grave digger, and so he's a positive-minded, grave-digging mayor. He also toured. He was in Iraq with the army, so he's done a tour of duty. He's been, I think it's his second term, maybe. And I mean, he's just really exciting and excited about Mena and where it's going.
Yeah, still a fairly young guy in terms of mayors, about 40 years old, but a tremendous amount of experience, and also a tremendous amount of experience that really would be ideal for a mayor of a small town. Like, he's done a lot of different things around the city, the law enforcement, military. He's extremely, as you said, extremely positive, which I think the more and more we do this and we go to these towns, the youth and the positivity,
Mm.
I think, makes such a big difference. Because let's be honest, like a lot of these towns there's an aging population, and there's nothing against that, but like, when you can get someone that's on the youngish side, that's got a lot of energy, that's willing to embrace the past, but also look towards the future. I think it's a winning combination, and we saw it firsthand in Mena with Mayor Smith.
I liked his view of government and the role of government, city government. He said, "We're here to provide services to people, services that they can't provide themselves, with a small government footprint." And I thought, well, that's a winning combination. I mean, you're going to give them the parks, the police, the water, but you're not going to be overbearing. And I thought that's going to work. That's going to work across Arkansas.
Yeah, and his ego, not it's in check.
Mhm.
It's not about him, which is another good thing to see when you're in these towns. And yeah, it started with the breakfast, and then we got in his truck, and we what was the next step was the airport, right?
Well, the airport, but before I get to the airport, the excitement about it is the trails.
Mhm.
Trails, trails, trails. And everything that we talked about revolved around the trail somehow. Even the airport and the role the airport plays in the trails that are coming in. And so that's the backdrop for a lot. The reason I wanted to take you to Mena as well is about the trails. But you're right, the airport, it was how we're going to use the airport to develop the trails, or how we're going to help foster the trail development. But the airport, I mean, I knew of the airport. Everybody knows the airport because of the Tom Cruise movie, American Made. Hashtag Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, if you're listening,
Yeah.
we're big fans. Come out with another Mission Impossible. But
You just might.
I mean, you've heard of Barry Seal and the drug running as the movie made it out to be, right? You had this experience, or had this thought about the airports.
Yeah, the airports to me is what put the town on the map from the past. The trails are what is going to put them on the map in the future. We mentioned like there's no real reason unless you grew up in Mena or you have family in Mena. It's not on the way to anything. There's not a real reason to go there. There will be very soon with these trails when this project is finished. It's probably going to take a couple years, but there will be a reason to go to Mena, and frankly, it's going to probably become one of the best tourist destination towns in this state when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Ben, have you heard about the trails coming into Mena?
I think so. We're talking about mountain biking trails, right? Is
Yes.
that what you guys are in? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a part of Mena which he took us to this too, because we got to go back to the airport at some point, because there's so much to do. But let me talk about the trails real quick. There's a spot in Mena on this old earthen dam, just it's near town somewhere, I think west maybe. And you stand on this old earthen dam overlooking this old lake bed that's no longer a lake, and you're just looking into the mountains of the Ouachitas. And it is the prettiest spot I've ever seen in Arkansas. It's my favorite spot, and I love Pinnacle, and that's a great view up there. But that is a beautiful spot, and that's one of the trails. And these mountain biking trails. And if you look across that lake bed, there's a big mountain. And at the top of the mountain, they're going to have the start of the mountain bike trails. They're going to have a lift that takes the mountain bikes up to the top of the mountain, and then it's going to go down. The lake is going to get filled in.
They're going to create a lake.
They're going to put a lake in there, right? They're going to have a lodge. They're going to have. I mean, it is a huge operation.
Yeah.
And I got to say this: it all started with an email, one email. The mayor started. And he thought he heard something about maybe the Waltons would be interested in mountain biking. So he sent an email, just said, you know what, let's see what happens. And now we're 4 or 5 years later. We've gone through the NEPA process, which is some federal process. The first gentleman's involved. Walton money. It is going to be massive for Mena.
Yeah, it really is. And a big part of that circling back to the airport is like they're going to need that infrastructure because people are going to be coming in now.
Yes.
And so, going back to we really do need to talk about the airport because for me, when we think about everything that took place that day, the one thing when I'm old and gray and I can't remember much, but I can remember the big things is when we did the tour of the Mena airport and we are in a truck driving down a runway. I never thought I would do that in my life.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
And then the mayor played Bad Boys.
Yes.
on the siren speaker. Yeah, the airports, I'd heard about the airport. Everybody knew about the airport. And I go see the airport. And the reason I was really excited about the airport is because of Morgan Freeman. It sounds weird. But when I was there last year or so ago, the mayor said, well, you just missed Morgan Freeman's jet. apparently Mena, if you take your fancy jet, it can make it even more fancy. It
Yeah,
can do anything
they
to a
can
jet.
trick it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trick it out.
Yeah,
Right.
that's really what the airport is about. You don't see a lot of planes coming and going. We didn't
Right.
see any.
No.
In fact, I asked, "Are there going to be any planes today?" And he's like, "Maybe, maybe not." But yeah, it's it's where you get your plane fixed up. It's where you get it tricked out. There's a plane graveyard there.
Yes.
That Ben, your pop the picture up where we can see a great picture of John in front. There it is. It's got
Ah, there it is.
Ding, ding. So technology, but yeah, that was fun to see that plane graveyard. That was cool.
And so, according to the mayor and to Fred, who showed us around, $35 million of annual salaries are being paid based on the job. It's got a $49 million secondary impact because of the airport. And then you add Barry Seal and all that we've heard about Barry Seal. You add the Morgan Freeman. You add the fact that the planes in Tora
Yeah.
were painted there. It is unlike any other city that I know of that has a true airport culture. It is an airport town. Trails also coming into it, but airport, like you said, it is an airport town. It has been an airport town, and it's going to help with the trails going forward.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Ben, if you've never been to Mena, it's one of those places. I think you got to spend a couple hours. Like I said, maybe you're gonna wait until these trails get done, but it'll be a fun experience.
Well, I have been meaning to take my jet and get some
Yeah.
spinners on it, and put my bike rack on top of my jet because I haven't had anybody do
Yeah.
that. So I think I'm heading to Mena.
Why
you
did
know?
we drive? We could have taken Ben's jets.
Yeah.
Jeez, yeah. Well, I'm going to ding another picture of me on top of. I'm just going to say it. It's Barry Seal's old jet or plane. It's really not.
It's
but
not
It's
Barry
not.
Seal's
But I climbed up on top of this old prop plane and took some pictures. And the mayor took a picture of me on top of it. So, ding.
Yeah, the guy said, "You want to do that, John? You want to get on top of that plane?" I'm like, "John, don't do that." And of course, when you say that, John's going to do it.
It was a challenge.
Yeah, and he did it.
Did you have to climb on top?
Yeah.
Oh,
this?
yeah.
I climbed up the tailpipe wind thing. I don't know what it's called.
Were you suited up? What
No,
was
I
your?
just said,
John did a lot of climbing.
Did you have
that
your
day.
play clothes
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
John?
Yes, I did. I wore
Okay.
jeans. So
All right.
I was ready. Yeah. But again, the airport, and then going back to Barry Seal, the rumor was there's never actually any drugs run through Mena. Barry Seal apparently used the airport like people use it now.
Yeah.
To get his plane tricked out, to get it worked on, to get gas, to get whatever.
Yeah.
It was not the place that drugs came through. It was just that's where Barry Seal got his stuff done to his plane.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. That's what we learned. I
Mhm.
didn't know that before that day.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
But it did remind me of Maude Crawford down in Camden, all the stories about Maude Crawford. It's the same in Mena. Like you ask whoever, I'm sure everybody has a Barry Seal story or some made up Barry Seal
Yeah.
story. And I do too now. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to make them up as I go. But the airport was fantastic. And then he took us out to that spot, the mayor did, on the trails and told us all about the trails. And an incredibly exciting moment for him. He's looking at it as they're going to be a regional hub, which they already kind of are, and just being a tourist destination. And they have a mountain biker that was like the Danish national champion who's teaching mountain biking. I mean, that's a whole other culture that they're building in Mena, and it's just incredibly exciting.
There's also another part of their culture too that is right behind us.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about
Well,
that a little bit, maybe.
Let me ask you, Ben, have you ever met Bigfoot?
Boy, I wish.
Okay, Kevin, do you
I
have any
wish.
evidence that we did meet Bigfoot?
Well, we have his autograph right behind us,
I mean, that's pretty much definitive.
and he's doing one of these things
Yeah.
too. So
He's a rocker.
yeah,
Yeah.
so he definitely exists. We have an 8x10 of him. It's been autographed. Bigfoot, as you can see. That was a little quick stop. The shop where we got some. I got an ornament. We got some stickers. And we got our Bigfoot poster here.
I did not know Bigfoot was a thing in Mena, but now I do. I mean,
Hey,
he lives
That's why
there.
we do these trips.
Yeah.
Okay, we learn these
Yes,
nuggets.
That's right.
okay?
There's something here.
Yeah.
Right. So we met Bigfoot. Went around the shop that he owns apparently, or at least works at. I think he's just part timer
Yeah.
there. And then we headed up to the fire tower on top of the mountain, on top of
Woo.
I think a rich mountain.
Yeah.
On the way to Queen Wilhelmina State Lodge. So Ben, have you ever been on top of a fire tower?
I have not. I've seen, they've got one in Eureka Springs that's quite tall, and I've always been too scared to to go to the top.
Well, that makes two of you.
Yeah.
Because Kevin was too scared to go to the top, but I went to the top.
Well, I think this fire tower was made in 1902, maybe. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it was old.
It's older than that cup by far.
Yeah.
Did you have to sign a waiver before you?
No, I
climbed
just
up to
walked
the
right
top?
up. Yeah. I tell you, up as I was getting up to the second level, it started to move. And I thought, and then Kevin said, well, it's okay if it moves. It's better if it moves. If it doesn't move, that's when you got to worry.
Tip right over.
And I thought, okay.
Most lawyers are pretty risk averse, but John, this is.
Ben, I got to the second.
I heard there was coffee on top.
I got to the second story of this tower, and I don't know, the wind went from 2 miles an hour to about 50.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm done. And I just walked down. And
I think as any reasonable person should.
Yeah, but not John, not
Nope.
Mayor.
Nope.
I mean, I could see the mayor. He's probably done it I don't know, 1,000 times, gone up there. But John's just like, let's do this. And I mean, it was windy.
Yeah,
it was crazy
Yeah.
windy.
I'd follow Mayor Smith just about anywhere, apparently, because I went to the top of that fire tower. It was a beautiful view, by the way, of the entire area. So I was glad I did it. I did take a picture of Kevin way down there. So I thought it was kind of
Well, I was on the grounds going to document your death. So that was my job,
Well, at least I would have met Bigfoot on the way out.
That's a good way to go out.
So I really appreciate the mayor giving me that experience and trying to give Kevin that experience, but it wasn't enough. But we went to the top of the fire tower. That was really neat. Then we went to Queen Wilhelmina State Lodge, and I had never gone to Queen Wilhelmina. I don't know if either one of you had.
No.
Okay.
I've wanted to because I've gone to Mena before and just couldn't make it up there. But
it's only 20 minutes away from Mena, and it's up a hill or mountain, so it's going to take a minute. But I thought the drive was nice, obviously, and then the lodge was nice.
Yeah, beautiful lodge. If you've ever been to a Mountain Magazine lodge, it's going to be very similar to that. It's a state-run lodge, and the view up there is beautiful. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's Mountain Magazine beautiful, but it's darn close, and it's certainly a place. And it doesn't seem quite as big as the Mountain Magazine lodge, from what I remember. But a place when we went there, I was like, man, I want to come back here and just kind of stay for a night or two. It's a cool spot. There's a restaurant. The food looked good. Walk by some tables. Most people are eating fried catfish there. Look great. So it's definitely a place I personally want to go back to and hang out a little bit.
I never actually put it together that Queen Wilhelmina or that Mena is the end word of Queen Wilhelmina, but I did on that trip. And there's actually a Queen Wilhelmina. I really don't know her connection to Mena at all, but there's a portrait of Queen Wilhelmina in the lodge that I took that I was very proud to take. She did not sign it, however.
She did not.
Unlike Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Now, on the way back down the mountain, callback already.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember the time we talked about Bigfoot?
Yeah.
On the way down, the most surprising part of the way down was learning how you catch feral hogs. And that's the story the mayor told us. Because he said every 3 or 4 years, I get a batch of feral hogs, and they tear up whatever, and I got to catch them. And he had videos of it.
He's a jack of all trades.
Yes.
Okay. And yes, he showed us the extensive video on it. It was entertaining, I will admit. Not something I was anticipating watching that day when we started our day, but you never know. I mean, that's the beauty of these trips. You never know what we're going to see here. And again, these mayors are so eclectic and different, and they've got so many different talents. And learning about his land and how he eradicates some of these feral hogs was kind of an interesting moment for us.
He was like, I'm not a hunter, but I understand there's bag limits on animals. There's no bag limit for hogs. You just you do whatever you can to get rid of feral hogs. Apparently they're that big of a problem, or can be. I did think it was interesting that we watched hogs play on Friday, and then we watched hogs get caught on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's only in Arkansas.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah. Oh,
We're the hog state.
Yeah. Well, and they're pretty tasty too. Let's not forget that. The feral hog, I mean, you roast that, it's got to be pretty good.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
What he said.
Yeah.
So we come back down and we go to American Artisans. It's a sandwich shop / art gallery, and it features local artists. Apparently, it has really good sandwiches. We had a couple sandwiches from there, but I saw a Yelp printout or something. They're rated the best sandwich in Arkansas by some metric. I forgot what it was, but it was really. We talked to the owner, Donna Chrisman. Her and her husband Rick own it. And I really like the fact they feature so many Arkansas artists and a lot of local Mena artists, one of which I actually knew. And it was really nice to be in that, gallery / food cafe atmosphere.
Yeah, right on the main drag, right across the street from the cafe with the cup we have. And yeah, anytime you go to businesses that support other artists and businesses where it's kind of a dual thing going on, where you got a gallery and good food, it was a fun, albeit quick trip, because I think we literally like kind of got our food to go because
Mhm.
we wanted to cover some places, and food is a big part of all these trips that we take, and I thought it was a really good combination of the history of the town and learning about the future and incorporating some of the food stops into it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And so after we're wrapping up with the mayor, he took us to City Hall. He showed us the plans for the trails. Really dove into it. There's a really neat website which shows what Mena looks like now, or that area, and then what it's going to look like when the trails get built, which is really cool. But what I really loved about this experience, being in City Hall, was on the floor was a poster board that had Post-it notes on it, and the on the poster board was the question, "What do you want Mena to look like in 10 years?" And I love seeing that because that's your question for mayors. What do you want the city to look like in 10 years? And I took a picture of that, of course. And let me ask you this. When you go back to Mena, I ask you, when you go back to Mena in 10 years, what are you expecting?
I think it's going to be a real tourist destination. I think you're going to see more hotels. You're going to see a lot more Airbnbs. It's going to be a vibrant place. Unfortunately, not every town that we stop and go and do a podcast on is going to experience the type of growth that I think both of us are anticipating with a place like Mena. We talked about this. Mena and Magnolia seem like to be the two towns we've covered so far that are on the up. And when you come back in 10 years, you're probably not going to recognize
Mhm.
it. It takes something big, like a trail system and location. Let's not forget
Yes.
about where they're located. When we were around there all day, we didn't see a lot of Arkansas license plates. We
Mhm.
saw a lot of Oklahoma and a lot of Texas license
Right.
plates. They are at an interesting, uniquely interesting geographic location in our state where they're going to be able to pull from other states, especially when you take into account the beauty surrounding them. So, um, I think the sky's the limit for them. And again, they've got a mayor that's looking towards the future and is positive. And I think that those you put that all together, yeah, 10 more years, I don't think we're going to be able to recognize it.
I think from the league perspective here at the Arkansas Municipal League, looking at mayors that are excited, and Ben knows this too. Ben, you talk to mayors all the time that are excited and energetic and just et cetera, et cetera. And then you also need that mayor to know and to think about logistically, how is this going to work? How is the infrastructure going to be built? Where are the roads going to go? Where are the parks going to go? How are we going to incorporate what we're doing with the state or federal authorities? And you see it all the time, right, Ben? And that's an important part of being a mayor.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to think. It's great to have these big shiny pieces that you're building towards, but without all the other infrastructure and other places to support that, you have one really nice park and then a lot, not nothing else. So I think it's great, and I see mayors when they're excited about something, they think of the whole picture.
Yes.
Like, how can we, as providing these basic services, like you said at the beginning of the pod, how can we expand those, and how are our needs gonna grow as this town grows with a big influx of an investment like that?
And he talked about it in those terms too. He's exciting, but he was excited, but he also knew the challenges and the needs to get from the email to where they're going to be in 5 or 10 years. That was really great to hear. And seeing him in City Hall, and you could just tell in his office, he knew what had to be done, and he had it all mapped out in his head. And again, I got to leave Mayor Smith with this again. If there's any lesson I took from Mayor Smith, and I have actually used it since then, it is just write the email.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen, but if you don't write the email, if you don't ask the question, it will never get done.
Mm-hmm.
Take a chance. And it was a low risk. Just send an email, and now he's here. So a huge lesson, I think, for mayors.
Yeah, mayor's got to frame that email and put it at the top.
He should. He should. Now, after we leave the mayor, we like to sit down and sort of decompress and take it all in. And in Camden, it was going back to River City Coffee, or River Rose Coffee. And this time we went to the Washita's, which was our second time
Yeah.
that day, which is shout out to the Washita's. You can go there in the morning for coffee like we did and a sweet treat, and then come back in the afternoon and get a veggie pizza or a beer.
I
right?
want the Washita's in Little Rock or North Little Rock.
Yes.
I want it here. You've got a pizza parlor, basically, coffee shop, brewery, all under one roof. It's big, it's beautiful, it's modern. You walk outside, there's a balcony that practically hangs over Main Street. It is so cool, and we happened to be there on a beautiful day. The weather was perfect, and we sat out on the balcony area, and it was absolutely perfect. And yeah, that to me, that food wise, that was the crown jewel of the day.
Yeah, you can get as good coffee. They have their own beer that they brew. We had the veggie pizza, which I was really shocked how good that was. And they also have desserts that they make, but it was so nice inside. And I walked in. I'm sure you felt the same way. It was one of those places. Wish Ben was here for Ben to see it, because Ben, you would have loved it.
I've been to Washita's when I went there.
have?
Yeah, for the league. You know, I went to Mena, so I recognized the skyline, a couple of those places you were talking about, and I went in there, it pulled me out. You know, I was on the main drag and saw it. I'm gonna check that out. And you're right, it was very, very cool, and I'm glad to see that it's just as cool as it was. You know, I probably went there 2 years ago, but it's just as great as it was.
And afterwards, we made one more food stop.
We did. And
Yeah.
Ben, let me ask you this, Ben, as a red-blooded American. Have you ever had a Sonic burger, Ben?
I think that's pretty easy. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Would you be surprised if certain people that at least even lived in this area, you'd be surprised if somebody said they didn't have a Sonic burger?
I think I would. I think I would be concernicus,
Kevin,
as they say.
do you know anybody that has never had a Sonic burger?
It's un-American, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be me.
That's
Okay. You know, what am I going to say? What do you want me to tell you? Okay. When I was a kid, we'd go to Sonic. You just got a drink. I don't know if that was taught, like you're just not eating at Sonic, but that's the way I grew up, and I took that into adulthood. I've taken my kids to
Drinks
Sonic.
only.
Drinks only. Okay.
It's a hard rule.
drink
It's
stop.
a hard rule. We will not be eating at Sonic. No tots, no burgers, no nothing.
The
okay?
tots. The tots
Yeah,
are so
goes back
good.
to the tots.
It's always a tot. So
But
it's,
my order, like I've transitioned into like I used to be a cherry limeade. As I've grown into being an adult, I like a strawberry limeade now.
Oh.
And if I have to be very specific, a diet strawberry limeade. Is
What a mature palate.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but yeah, apparently now that I've been to Cruisers,
yes.
you know, the famous Cruisers that used to be a Sonic that is now called Cruisers, but basically is Sonic menu.
Mhm.
And we got cheese curds and a burger. What was the burger? You were very fat. That's
A
how
number
you,
two.
That's how you figured out that I had never been.
Yeah, so Ben, I don't know if you remember this. Sonic doesn't do this anymore, but back in the day, Sonic, you'd order number one hamburger, and you could order cheese on top of it, of course, or number two. The number one was with mayonnaise. The number two was with mustard. So I'd order the number two with cheese. And Sonic hasn't done this for a long time, but they do it at Cruisers. Cruisers has the number one, which is mayonnaise, or the number two. So order the number two with cheese. Very nostalgic for me. And the cheese curds, which Sonic has never offered cheese curds to my knowledge, but Cruisers did. And they're great cheese curds, by the way. And we had the number two, and he allowed me to share this one, unlike the hash browns earlier on in the day. And that's when he told me he never had a Sonic burger. And I was blown away by this.
Yeah, you kind of figured it out because I didn't understand what you were saying about the number two. And you're like, have you been to Sonic? Have you eaten at Sonic? And I'm like, no.
I can tell you this,
Yeah.
though. After we shared the burger, I looked at Kevin and I said, now you've had a Sonic burger.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was. It was a Sonic burger.
It was good.
Yeah, Sonic burgers are fantastic. I love Sonic.
It was a good way to close out Mena.
It really
Let's
was.
just say that.
It really was.
Yeah.
Now, on the way back to Little Rock, we go through Pine Ridge, Pine Valley, which if you've ever heard of Lub and Abner, which I'm guessing you haven't because I had never either. And I had before that week, but it's an old radio show from the 30s and 40s, but it was out of a town called Pine Ridge, a made-up town. But the Lub and Abner were from Mena. They met at the U of A, and they were from Mena, and so the town developed just as an homage of sorts to Lub and Abner. And so there's still a museum there that has not been open for many, many years. And so we went through Pine Ridge to talk about Lub and Abner for 30 seconds.
Can I also say that we drove through Ink, Arkansas?
We did.
And I saw a cemetery, and I felt like I had the line of the day. I said I wanted to be buried in ink.
You're going to add the laugh track.
But
Yeah.
we get the heck out of it. Let me find the laugh track.
And then the Ink story. You don't think you think I made this up, but the story about Ink is that they were asked, I guess, when the post office wanted to come. There we go. Say it again,
Good.
Kevin.
Oh yeah, I'm ready now.
I want to be buried in ink.
Oh, off the rails. All right.
Yeah.
So the story about ink that I heard was that the town folk, when the post office wanted to come here, they said, you need a name for your town. So write it down. Please write in ink. And so they wrote in ink. And that's how the town became ink.
You are a liar.
That's the
story.
That's the story I heard.
That is BS.
Please
Hand to
write
God.
in ink.
Yeah.
Hand to God, that's the story I heard.
Oh man.
So then we head home and that would be an end to an epic 24 hours. Yet that's not where this ended. We go back to Little Rock because I will tell you, everybody's listening, there is something here in Little Rock, and we found it. Right, Kevin?
Yeah. So we had dinner plans already set with the four of us, us two and our wives, and Sarah and Zara, and even before dinner, we were spent.
Yes.
I mean, we were exhausted, but we had this dinner on the books, and we were going to do it, and we had a great dinner. And after that dinner,
At the pantry.
Sorry, thank you.
Great spot.
Yeah,
Pantry's great.
Great dinner. Everyone knows the pantry here in Little Rock. But afterwards, we had also had planned a concert for Kingsdown, which we've talked about. Kingsdown. Mayor Jonas Anderson from Cave City is part of that. He's on the keyboard and that band. I feel like we're technically groupies at this point.
Absolutely.
So we were supposed to have dinner and then go to Kingsdown. I was told the Kingsdown concert started at 8:00, which for us, even at 8, is somewhat late. Okay.
Yes.
I get a text from a friend who's also going. She tells me, actually, they're going to go on stage closer to 10. My heart sank. And because I am who I am, I immediately say, I can't do this. I'm going to be tired. I'm already tired. I've never been out past 10 o'clock in the last 20 years. Not John.
Well, okay, but you set your wife up to do this because she's the one that said, it starts at 10, and kind of giving me the look like it's too late. And I was like, okay, it starts at 10. I don't know what the problem is. It's just going to have to happen.
It's just a bigger challenge to you at that point.
Yes, I took it as from both of you. I was like, okay, here we go. I'm in.
Let's do this.
I didn't even acknowledge it, Ben. I was like, yeah, okay, it's 10 o'clock, and we're moving on.
So we separate after dinner. We drop our wives off. At that point, I'm like, I'm getting out of this. We have separated. I'm getting out of this. I'm going to make up.
That's your out.
Yeah. I get back.
You know me better than this.
I do know you better than this. I still thought I had a chance. Like a 1% chance. And I get home and I think I text you. I'm like, man, this is just not looking good, man. And John's response is, I am coming over. I've been in the Edwards parking lot, the Edwards Food Giant parking lot waiting. And I will be at your house in 5 minutes. Like, how do you say no to that, Ben? How do you say no to that?
In my defense, I said no pressure. But
but I'm watching you.
I am in the Edwards Food Giant parking lot. And I was legit okay. I was listening to a new album that I'd come across. So I was like, I'm good. But I understand now you thought that was sort of some pressure.
Yeah, some?
Yeah, a little bit.
I can't let you down. I mean, we had gone that far, okay?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, like, and I know your mindset. Like, we've gone this far. Why stop now? We've got to finish the deal. And you're a true friend. And we both we think the world of Jonas. And the idea of skipping out on his concert when we had been planning it for months. I mean, yes, you and I gave you full credit. You were right, and that's why we're such good friends. Is because, when I want to flake out, you push me, and then I inevitably just listen. And we did it, and we went, and it was a great freaking concert.
Yes,
they rocked the house. They played at the Rev Room. They've got the lead singer, who I like to nickname Minnie McJagger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy is talented, and it's just a fun concert.
Yeah.
And it's not one of these concerts. We mentioned it. Like, it's not one of these concerts that you go and you're like, all right, can we just get through this? Can we get through this? It's late. No, you're there and you're like, man, this is amazing. Like, they are talented.
And before that, though, before the concert at the Rev Room, which is a great spot down there on President Clinton Avenue, we went to the Experience Lounge. There's a really swanky lounge over there. It was fantastic, and we had a great time there. And the point I'm making, back to there's something here. We had an epic night in Fayetteville. The brewery, pizza, the game. We had an amazing day in Mena. Then we come home. We have a great dinner at the pantry, which is a Czechoslovakian or Czech inspired menu. We go to Experience. which is a nice, classy lounge in downtown Little Rock. Then we go to the Rev Room for a rock and roll concert.
Completely different experience than the restaurant bar.
All three of them were different. And and I left there and we walked back and I thought, my goodness, I just had an amazing night in Little Rock, which you can have with three very different things. And that was what I really loved to wrap this all together. In 36 hours, we experienced so much of this great state, and I was so proud to do it. Proud to do it with you, and proud to share it with Ben and everybody that's listening right now.
Yeah,
and there is something here in Arkansas.
Yeah, and it really encapsulates why we do this. Like it's hard, it's a grind sometimes, but we get so much out of it, and the experiences, and to be able to talk about it and share it with the audience. I know neither of us take that for granted.
Not at all.
Yeah,
not at all. Well, Ben, Kevin, as always, it's amazing to be here with y'all. A real pleasure and an honor to do this together. Kevin, thank you. Ben, thank you. Merry Christmas to both of you again. I hope you and yours have an amazing Christmas season. To everybody watching, everybody's listening, thank you again for listening. We really appreciate it very, very much. Join us again as we travel to, we don't know where yet, but we can tell you there's going to be something there. Thanks, everybody. Take care.